The impossible return, the signal that changed everything. Captain Elena Vasquez was reviewing supply reports when the universe decided to turn her quiet Tuesday upside down. Deep Space Monitoring Station Omega-7 had been her home for 3 years, floating in the empty void between solar systems, like a lighthouse watching for storms that never came. The work was routine, predictable, and exactly the kind of peaceful assignment she had requested after losing her previous command to Hegemony Raiders. The first sign of trouble came from Chief Petty Officer David Kim at the sensor station. His normally steady voice carried an edge of confusion that made Elena look up from her tablet. "Captain, I'm getting readings that don't make sense. Something big is coming our way." Elena walked over to the sensor display, her boots echoing on the metal deck. The station was small enough that she could cross the entire command center in 20 steps. What she saw on the screen made her stomach drop. A massive energy signature was approaching from the direction of the Kepler Nebula, moving at speeds that should have been impossible for anything larger than a probe. "How big is big?" she asked, though she already suspected the answer would not be good. Kim's hands danced across his controls, trying to get a clearer reading. Mass displacement suggests something the size of a battlecruiser, but the energy output is off the charts. It's putting out more power than a small star. Dr. Sarah Chon, the station's chief science officer, hurried over from her research station. Her long black hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and her lab coat was stained with coffee from another late night studying cosmic radiation patterns. "That's impossible. Nothing in our technology can generate that kind of power signature." "Maybe it's not our technology," Elena said quietly. The possibility that they were about to encounter hostile aliens was always present in the back of every spacer's mind. Humanity had been exploring the galaxy for over a century, and while they had found plenty of dead worlds and ancient ruins, they had never encountered a living alien civilization. Some people thought that was lucky. Others worried it meant something. Had killed all the aliens off, the object continued to approach, and as it got closer, more details became visible on the long-range sensors. Kim's voice grew more puzzled with each report. "Captain, the mass readings are consistent with a human vessel, but the energy signature suggests technology we don't have. It's almost like someone took one of our ships and rebuilt it with alien tech." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "Are you saying this is a human ship?" "I'm saying it might have been human once, but it's been changed into something else entirely." Lieutenant Commander Alex Rodriguez, the station's security chief, approached with his usual careful manner. The man had served on the frontier long, enough to know that anything unusual was potentially dangerous. "Captain, should we raise shields and prepare weapons?" Elena considered the question. Station Omega-7 was a research and monitoring facility, not a military installation. Their shields could stop debris and small meteors, but against a battle-cruiser-sized vessel with unknown technology, they would be about as effective as tissue paper in a hurricane. No, she decided. If whoever is in that ship wanted to destroy US, they would have done it by now. Instead, they're approaching slowly and following standard navigation protocols. That suggests intelligence and possibly peaceful intentions. Dr. Chun was studying the sensor data with growing excitement. "Captain, look at this. The ship is maintaining a perfect approach vector and speed. It's following human navigation standards exactly. Whatever is controlling that vessel knows our procedures." "Could it be an Earth ship?" Elena asked. "Impossible. Nothing we've built could generate those power readings. Unless—" Dr. Chun's eyes widened as she checked something on her tablet. "Captain, I need to access the historical database. There might be an explanation for this." Elena nodded, and Dr. Chun hurried to her station. The scientist's fingers flew across her keyboard as she searched through decades of spaceflight records. After several minutes of intense searching, She gasped and looked up with an expression of shock and disbelief. "Captain, you need to see this. 20 years ago, Earth launched a deep space exploration mission called the Prometheus Project. It was a joint venture between the Earth Defense Force and the Scientific Advancement Council. They sent a single ship, the EHS Prometheus, to explore the far reaches of the galaxy beyond the Kepler Nebula." Elena frowned. "I've never heard of the Prometheus Project." "That's because it was classified. The ship was loaded with Earth's most advanced experimental technology and carried a crew of 200 volunteers. The mission was supposed to last 5 years, but after they passed through the Kepler Nebula, all contact was lost. The ship was officially declared lost with all hands." Kim looked up from his sensors with wide eyes. "The mass displacement and basic hull configuration match what's in the database for the Prometheus. But the energy signature suggests the ship has been completely rebuilt with technology that shouldn't exist." Elena felt her heart skip a beat. "Are you telling me that the ship approaching us is the Prometheus? The one that's been missing for 20 years? "It's either the Prometheus or something that wants us to think it's the Prometheus," Dr. Chun said grimly. "Either way, we're about to find out." First Contact Protocol, the ship that emerged from the darkness of space, was both familiar and alien at the same time. Elena could recognize the basic shape of an Earth Defense Force exploration vessel, but the Prometheus had been transformed into something that hurt to look at directly. The hull seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, and strange patterns of light pulsed across its surface in colors that had no names. When Elena stared at it too long, her eyes began to water and her head started to ache. "Captain," Kim said in a voice full of wonder and fear, "I'm receiving a transmission. It's on standard Earth frequencies, but the signal is coming from everywhere at once. It's like the entire ship is transmitting." Elena straightened her uniform and tried to look more confident than she felt. "Put it through to the main screen." The image that appeared was both shocking and impossible. A man in his 50s stood in what looked like a command center, but the walls behind him seemed to be made of living crystal that pulsed with soft blue light. He wore what appeared to be a standard Earth Defense Force uniform, but the fabric seemed to move and shift as if it were alive. His hair was silver white, and his eyes held a depth that seemed to contain the wisdom of centuries. "Station Omega 7. This is Captain Marcus Stone of the EHS Prometheus. We are requesting permission to dock and share information of vital importance to the survival of humanity." Elena felt the deck seem to tilt beneath her feet. Marcus Stone had been the captain of the Prometheus when it disappeared 20 years ago. According to the records, he would be in his 70s now, but the man on the screen appeared to be in perfect health and looked exactly as he had in his service photos from 2 decades ago. "Captain Stone," Elena managed to say, her voice steadier than she felt. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez. Your ship was declared lost 20 years ago. Where have you been?" Marcus Stone's expression grew grave. "That is a long story, Captain, and one that needs to be told in person. But I can tell you this. We have been changed by forces beyond human understanding, and we bring warning of a threat that could destroy not just humanity, but all life in the galaxy." Dr. Chun stepped forward. "Captain Stone, our sensors indicate your ship has been enhanced with technology that exceeds anything in our database. What happened to you out there?" Stone's eyes seemed to glow with inner light as he spoke. "We encountered beings older than human civilization, Doctor. They call themselves the Architects, and they have been watching the galaxy for millions of years. They enhanced us, changed us, gave us abilities we never dreamed possible. But they did not do this out of kindness. They did it because something is coming that will consume everything we know and love." Elena felt ice form in her stomach. What kind of threat? "The kind that has already devoured 17 galaxies," Stone said grimly. The architects call them the Void Swarm, and they are heading directly for the Milky Way. Our enhanced abilities and technology are the only things that might be able to stop them. The architects gift Elena authorized docking procedures, though every instinct screamed that this was a mistake. The Prometheus moved toward the station with impossible grace, its hull rippling like water as it adjusted to fit the docking bay. The ship was somehow changing its shape to match the station's docking clamps, which should have been physically impossible. "Captain," Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez said quietly, "this could be a trap. We have no way of knowing if these people are really human anymore." Asterisk. Elena nodded grimly. "Arm the security team, but keep weapons lowered. If these people wanted to harm us, they could have done it already. That ship could probably vaporize our station without even slowing down." The docking bay pressurized with a hiss, and Elena led a small team to meet their visitors. Dr. Chun carried a full sensor suite, while Rodriguez had his hand resting on his sidearm. Kim remained at the sensor station, monitoring everything and ready to sound the alarm if things went wrong. The airlock opened with a soft whisper, and Captain Marcus Stone stepped out. He looked exactly as he had on the view screen, but in person, Elena could see that he was not entirely human anymore. His skin had a faint luminescence, and when he moved, it was with a fluid grace that seemed to defy gravity. Behind him came 4 other crew members, all showing the same subtle changes. "Captain Vasquez," Stone said, extending his hand. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. I know this must be difficult to accept." Elena shook his hand and was surprised to find that it felt warm and completely human. "Captain Stone, I need you to understand that your ship has been declared lost for 20 years. As far as Earth is concerned, you and your crew are dead." Stone nodded sadly. "We know. And in many ways, the people we were did die out there. What we became is something new, something that humanity will need if we are to survive what is coming." Dr. Chun stepped forward with her sensors. "Captain, our readings indicate that you and your crew have been altered at the cellular level. Your DNA has been enhanced with what appears to be synthetic elements that shouldn't be able to exist in stable form. The architect's gift," Stone explained. "They gave us the ability to think in dimensions beyond human comprehension, to manipulate matter and energy in ways that normal humans cannot. But they did not make us into something alien. They made us into what humanity could become." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you mean?" Stone's expression grew serious. "The architects have been watching our species for millennia. They have seen how we adapt, how we fight, how we refuse to give up, even when facing impossible odds. They believe that humanity has a unique quality that might be the key to stopping the Void Swarm." "What quality?" Elena asked. "Chaos," Stone said with a slight smile. "Beautiful, unpredictable, creative human chaos. The Void Swarm understands order, logic, and predictable patterns. But humans do things that make no sense, fight battles we cannot win, and find solutions that should be impossible." Rodriguez spoke up. "What exactly is the Void Swarm?" Stone's expression darkened. "They are not a species in any sense we understand. They are more like a cosmic force, a living entropy that consumes entire galaxies. They do not just destroy planets and stars. They unmake them, erasing them from existence as if they had never been." Dr. Chun's scanner beeped frantically. "Captain, the readings I'm getting from these people are impossible. They're generating energy fields that exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The technology required to achieve this is beyond anything we've ever imagined." "It is beyond current human technology," Stone agreed. "But it is not beyond human potential. The architects showed us what we could become, and now we offer the same choice to the rest of humanity." Elena felt the weight of impossible decisions settling on her shoulders. What choice? Evolution or extinction? Stone said simply. The void swarm will reach our galaxy in 18 months. We can either prepare humanity for ascension, or we can watch our species be erased from existence. The weight of truth Elena called for a private meeting in the station's conference room. The space was small and cramped, designed for routine. Briefings rather than conversations that might determine the fate of humanity. Captain Stone sat across from her, his enhanced eyes reflecting the overhead lights and patterns that seemed to shift and change. I need you to understand something, Elena said carefully. I'm the commander of a deep space monitoring station. I don't have the authority to make decisions for humanity. Even if I believed everything you're telling me, I can't commit our species to the kind of changes you're describing. Stone nodded. I understand your position, Captain, but I need you to understand mine. The architects gave us 18 months to prepare humanity for what is coming. Every day we delay is a day closer to extinction. Dr. Chun looked up from her tablet, where she had been reviewing the sensor data. Captain Stone, the energy readings from your ship suggest technology that operates on principles we don't understand. How do we know this isn't some kind of elaborate deception? Stone stood and walked to the small viewport that looked out at the Prometheus. Even through the reinforced glass, Elena could see the ship's hull shifting and changing, adapting to the station's docking mechanisms in ways that defied physics. Doctor, would you be willing to interface directly with our ship's consciousness? It would allow you to experience our memories and understand the truth of what we encountered. Dr. Chun looked nervous. The ship has consciousness? The architects. Technology is not just mechanical. It is alive, aware, and capable of sharing experiences directly with biological minds. Our ship's consciousness is a hybrid of human engineering and architect enhancement. It can show you exactly what we experienced in the void between galaxies. Elena felt a chill of fear and excitement. What would that involve? A temporary mental link. Dr. Chun would maintain her own consciousness and free will, but she would be able to access the ship's memories and knowledge. It would prove to her that we are telling the truth about the void swarm. Dr. Chun looked at Elena. Captain, this could be the discovery of the century. If they're telling the truth, we need to know. If they're lying, we need to expose them. Elena considered the risks. If this was some kind of alien deception, allowing them to interface with Dr. Chun's mind could be catastrophic. But if they were telling the truth, humanity needed to know about the threat they faced. Do it, she decided. But at the first sign of anything wrong, we break the connection immediately. Stone nodded and activated what appeared to be a small crystal device. Dr. Chun, please place your hand on the neural interface. The ship's consciousness will establish a link with your mind. Dr. Chun hesitated for a moment, then reached out and touched the crystal. Her eyes immediately went wide and began to glow with soft blue light. For several seconds, she stood frozen, her mouth open in shock and wonder. When she pulled her hand away, tears were streaming down her face. Oh my God, she whispered. They're telling the truth. The void swarm is real, and it's already consumed galaxies beyond counting. Elena felt the last of her skepticism crumble. What did you see? I saw worlds being unmade, stars being erased, entire civilizations disappearing as if they had never existed. The void swarm doesn't just destroy, Elena. It removes things from reality itself, and it's heading straight for us. Stone's expression was grim. Now you understand why the architects chose to enhance us. Traditional human technology will not be enough to stop the void swarm. We need to evolve, to become something more than we are. Elena looked out at the Prometheus, its impossible hull still shifting and changing as it adapted to the stations. Systems, what exactly are you proposing? We offer the same enhancement to volunteers from your crew, and eventually to humanity as a whole. The process is irreversible, but it will give humans the ability to fight the Void Swarm on equal terms. Rodriguez had been quiet throughout the conversation, but now he spoke up. What guarantee do we have that this enhancement won't turn us into something that's no longer human? Stone smiled sadly. None. But I can tell you this. We still feel. We still care. We still love. And we still fight for what we believe in. The enhancement makes us more than human, but it doesn't make us less human. Elena felt the weight of the decision settling on her shoulders. She was a station commander, not a leader of humanity. But somehow, the choice had fallen to her. She could either trust these transformed humans and begin the process of evolving her species, or she could refuse and potentially doom humanity to extinction. How long do we have to decide? She asked. The Void Swarm's advanced scouts will reach our galaxy in 18 months, Stone said. But we need to begin preparations immediately. The enhancement process takes time, and we need to build a fleet of ships like the Prometheus if we're going to have any chance of success. Dr. Chun was still wiping tears from her eyes. Elena, what I saw in that ship's memories? Humanity has never faced anything like this. But I also saw something else. The architects believe we have a chance. They think human creativity and adaptability might be the key to stopping something that has destroyed 17 galaxies. Elena looked around the small conference room at the faces of her crew. They were good people, dedicated to their duty and to each other. The thought of asking them to undergo an irreversible transformation that would change them forever was almost too much to bear, but the alternative was extinction. Captain Stone, she said finally, I need to contact Earth Command and report what we've learned. Humanity deserves to know the truth about what we're facing. Stone nodded. Of course. But remember, every day we delay is a day closer to the end of everything we know and love. As Elena looked out at the transformed ship floating beside her station, she realized that humanity stood at a crossroads. They could choose to evolve and fight for their survival, or they could remain unchanged and face extinction. Either way, the universe would never be the same. The age of human expansion was ending. The age of human transcendence was about to begin. The Prometheus, Protocol the Council of Worlds, 3 weeks after the Prometheus docked at Station Omega-7. The most important gathering in human history took place in the Orbital Conference Center. Above Earth, representatives from every human colony, military leaders, scientists, and politicians had come together to hear Captain Stone's testimony about the Void Swarm threat. Elena sat at the witness table, still struggling to process everything she had learned. The chamber was filled with heated arguments and shouted questions. Some delegates believed Stone's warnings and demanded immediate action. Others insisted the entire story was an elaborate hoax or alien deception. A few extremists even called for Stone and his crew to be arrested as traitors to humanity. Senator Margaret Webb from the Mars colonies stood to address the chamber. Her voice carried the authority of someone who had spent decades in politics. And when she spoke, the room gradually quieted. Captain Stone, you are asking us to make a decision that will fundamentally alter human civilization. You want us to trust alien technology and undergo irreversible changes to our bodies and minds. How do we know this isn't some form of conquest by these architects? Stone stood calmly at the podium, his enhanced presence commanding attention, even from his harshest critics. Senator Webb, I understand your concerns, but I need you to understand something. The architects could have conquered humanity centuries ago if that had been their goal. They possess technology that makes our most advanced weapons look like stone tools. They enhanced us because they need allies, not slaves. General Patricia Hayes, the commander of Earth's defense forces, leaned forward in her seat. Captain, even if we accept that the Void Swarm is real, why should we trust beings that have been watching us for millennia without revealing themselves? What makes you think they have humanity's best interests at heart? Stone's expression grew thoughtful. General, the architects have watched 17 galaxies fall to the void swarm. They have seen countless civilizations choose different paths when faced with this threat. Some tried to hide, others tried to fight with conventional weapons, and a few tried to negotiate. All of them failed. Humanity is their last hope, and we are their last hope. Dr. Chun, who had been invited to testify about her interface with the Prometheus, stood and activated a holographic display. The image showed the void swarms advanced through the universe, with each consumed galaxy marked in red. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're facing. The void swarm doesn't just destroy civilizations. It erases them from existence entirely. Every star, every planet, every trace that they ever existed. The chamber fell silent as the delegates absorbed the implications. The display showed the void swarm moving steadily toward the Milky Way, leaving nothing but empty space in its wake. President Sarah Martinez of the United Earth government spoke for the first time. Captain Stone, assuming we accept your warnings, what exactly are you proposing? You can't enhance all of humanity in 18 months. Stone nodded. You're right, Madam President. But we don't need to enhance everyone. We need to enhance enough people to crew a fleet of ships like the Prometheus. The architects have provided us with the technology to upgrade Earth's existing vessels, but they need enhanced human minds to operate effectively. How many people are we talking about? Asked Admiral Chen Park, the head of the Colonial Defense. Fleet, approximately 50,000 volunteers, Stone replied. Enough to crew 100 enhanced vessels. The rest of humanity can be protected by evacuation protocols, while the enhanced fleet engages the void swarm. The chamber erupted in chaos again. The idea of asking 50,000 people to undergo irreversible enhancement was staggering. Families would be separated, careers would be abandoned, and the volunteers would be forever changed from their loved ones. Elena stood and waited for the noise to die down. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of someone who had witnessed the impossible. I've seen what the enhancement can do. Captain Stone and his crew are still human, but they're also something more. They think faster, see farther, and understand concepts that normal human minds can't grasp. If we're going to fight the void swarm, we need people who can match their abilities. Senator Webb was not convinced. Captain Vasquez, you've been exposed to this ship and its crew for weeks. How do we know you haven't been influenced by alien technology? Elena felt a flash of anger. Senator, I've been monitoring deep space for 3 years. I've seen what's out there in the darkness between stars. The universe is not a safe place, and humanity has been lucky to survive this long. A Prometheus represents our best chance of continuing that survival. The demonstration President Martinez called for a recess, and the delegates filed out of the chamber in small groups, arguing among themselves. Elena found herself standing alone at the viewport, looking down at Earth's blue and white surface. The planet looked so peaceful from orbit, with no sign of the cosmic threat bearing down on it. Captain Stone approached and stood beside her. They're afraid, he said quietly. I don't blame them. What we're asking is unprecedented. Can you blame them? Elena replied, You're asking them to trust alien technology and volunteer for irreversible changes. Half of them probably think you're not even human anymore. Stone was quiet for a moment. Sometimes I wonder if they're right. The enhancement changes you in ways that are hard to describe. You see connections between things that weren't visible before. You understand concepts that used to be impossible. But you also lose something in the process. What do you lose? The ability to live in ignorance. Once you've seen the universe as it really is, you can never go back to thinking that humanity is safe and protected. You know that we're just one small species, clinging to a few rocks in an infinite ocean of darkness. Elena turned to face him. Is it worth it? The enhancement, I mean. Stone's eyes glowed softly in the dim light. Ask me that question again in 18 months, when the Void Swarm arrives. If we're still alive to have the conversation, then yes, it will have been worth it. President Martinez returned to the chamber and called the session back to order. Captain Stone, the Council has decided that we need a demonstration. We want to see this enhanced technology in action before we commit to anything. Stone nodded. What kind of demonstration? Show us what the Prometheus can do. Prove to us that this alien technology is real and that it gives us a fighting chance against the Void Swarm. Stone activated a communication device and spoke to his ship. Prometheus. Prepare for combat demonstration. Authorization Stone 77 Alpha. The ship's consciousness responded through the chamber's speakers, its voice carrying musical undertones that seemed to resonate in everyone's bones. Demonstration protocols activated, Captain. Shall I engage the training targets? Affirmative. Show them what we're capable of. The chamber's main display activated, showing a view of space near the orbital station. Several unmanned target drones had been positioned at various distances, some of them moving in evasive patterns. The Prometheus undocked from the station and moved toward the target area with fluid grace. What happened next defied everything the delegates thought they knew about space combat. The Prometheus didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, streams of energy lanced out from the ship and struck targets that were light years away, hitting them instantaneously despite the vast distances involved. The ship moved through space like it was swimming through water, changing direction and speed in ways that should have been impossible. But the most impressive part of the demonstration was when the ship seemed to split into multiple versions of itself. One moment there was one Prometheus. The next there were 5 identical vessels attacking targets from different directions simultaneously. How is that possible? General Hayes asked in amazement. The ship exists in multiple dimensional phases, Stone explained. We can create temporal echoes of ourselves, allowing us to be in several places at once. It's one of the abilities the architects gave us. Dr. Chun was studying the sensor readings with growing excitement. The energy expenditure should be impossible. The ship is generating power levels that exceed anything in our technology by orders of magnitude. The architects taught us to harvest energy from the quantum foam itself, Stone said. We're not limited by conventional power sources anymore. The demonstration continued for another hour, with the Prometheus displaying abilities that seemed like magic to the assembled delegates. The ship could phase through solid matter, manipulate gravity, and even briefly travel faster than light without using hyperspace drives. When it was over, the chamber was completely silent. Even the most skeptical delegates had to admit that what they had witnessed was far beyond any known human technology. The Volunteers' President Martinez was the first to speak. Captain Stone, assuming we move forward with this plan, how do we choose the volunteers? 50,000 people is a significant number. The enhancement process works best with individuals who are mentally flexible and emotionally stable, Stone replied. Military personnel, scientists, engineers, and pilots are ideal candidates. But ultimately, the choice must be voluntary. The process won't work if someone is forced into it. Admiral Park stood up. Captain, I volunteer to be the first candidate. If this technology is real, and it gives us a chance to protect humanity, then I'm willing to undergo the enhancement. A murmur ran through the chamber. Admiral Park was a respected leader and a war hero. If she was willing to undergo the enhancement, it lent credibility to the entire proposal. Admiral, the process is irreversible, Stone warned. Once you've been enhanced, you can never go back to being fully human. I understand the risks, Captain, but I also understand the alternative. If the Void Swarm is coming, then we need every advantage we can get. Elena found herself standing up. I volunteer. As well. I've seen what the Prometheus can do, and I've interfaced with the ship's consciousness. If we're going to fight this threat, we need experienced commanders who understand the technology. More voices joined in around the chamber. General Hayes volunteered, along with several other military leaders. Dr. Chun volunteered to represent the scientific community. Within an hour, over 200 delegates had volunteered for the enhancement process. Senator Webb stood up, her face pale but determined. I still have reservations about this entire plan. But I also have grandchildren on Mars, and I want them to have a future. If this is our only chance, then I support moving forward. President Martinez nodded gravely. Very well. Captain Stone, you have our authorization to begin the enhancement process. But I want regular reports on the progress and any complications that arise. Stone bowed slightly. Thank you, Madam President. I promise you that we will do everything in our power to prepare humanity for what's coming. The transformation begins. The enhancement facility was built on the dark side of Luna, far from Earth's population centers, in case something went wrong. The architects had provided the construction templates, and human engineers had worked around the clock to build the complex in just 2 weeks. The facility looked like a cross between a medical center and an alien temple, with crystalline structures that pulsed with soft light. Elena stood in the preparation chamber, wearing a simple medical gown and trying not to think about the fact that she was about to undergo an irreversible transformation. The process would take 12 hours, during which her cellular structure would be rewritten by technology that humanity barely understood. Dr. Chon was in the chamber next to her, looking nervous but determined. Elena, are you sure about this? We still don't know all the long-term effects of the enhancement. I'm sure, Elena replied, though her voice carried more confidence than she felt. If we're going to fight the Void Swarm, we need to understand their capabilities firsthand. Captain Stone entered the chamber, accompanied by one of the architect entities. The being was tall and graceful, with skin that seemed to be made of living crystal. When it spoke, its voice was like music mixed with the sound of wind through trees. Captain Vasquez, are you prepared to undergo the transformation? Elena nodded. I'm ready. The architect gestured to a crystalline pod in the center of the chamber. Please lie down inside. The process will begin once you are comfortable. Elena climbed into the pod, which was surprisingly warm and comfortable. The crystal walls began to glow, and she felt a tingling sensation throughout her body. Gradually, the world around her began to fade as she slipped into a deep, dreamless sleep. When she woke up 12 hours later, everything had changed. Her vision was sharper and more detailed than before. She could see colors that had no names and perceive dimensions that normal human eyes couldn't detect. Her mind felt clearer and more focused, able to process information at speeds that would have been impossible before the enhancement. But the most profound change was in her understanding of the universe itself. She could feel the quantum foam that underlied all of reality, sense the gravitational fields of nearby objects, and perceive the flow of time as something that could be manipulated and controlled. How do you feel? Captain Stone asked as she sat up in the pod. Elena looked at her hands, which now had a faint luminescence beneath the skin. Different, more aware. Like I was living in a shadow before, and now I can see the sun. Dr. Chun emerged from her own pod, her eyes wide with wonder. Elena, can you feel it? The connection to the quantum field? It's like having a new sense organ. Elena nodded. She could feel the presence of the other enhanced humans in the facility. Their minds connected through the quantum field in ways that normal humans couldn't experience. But she could also feel something else, something dark and hungry moving through the void between galaxies. The Void Swarm, she whispered. I can sense them. They're closer than 18 months. Stone's expression grew grim. How much closer? Elena closed her eyes and extended her enhanced senses into the depths of space. What she found there made her blood run cold. 6 months, maybe less. They're accelerating their approach.